Hi, my name is Patrick Adams, and I am 32 years old, and I live in San Diego, California. Today I'm recording this video to submit to 73 Days Later to help hopefully give a better representation of the current state of American politics and the American public's view on those things. So I'm going to kind of dive right in here. Did I vote? And why was it important to me to make that choice? I did not vote. I was registered to vote. I had plans to vote. Had to leave the state last minute, and had oversight in my time frames, and just didn't realize I was going to be gone during the election. And it kind of came up last minute, so I didn't have a choice to kind of really fix that problem. And kind of embarrassing a little bit. How did I feel when I woke up the day after election? There's a lot of things: shock, embarrassment, frustration, concern. I think more than anything, I was just in a fugue, a kind of a state of just disillusionment. Kind of made me feel like, what's the point? I'm almost glad I didn't vote. Not that it would have mattered, because I lived in California, so those votes were going to Hillary anyways. But today is December 20th, 2016, and to add some kind of depth to that, the Electoral College voted yesterday. Trump has made a large majority of his appointments for his cabinet, or the nominations for appointments, so today the one word about how I feel regarding the state of politics in America is disappointment. Disappointment that the system seems to not work. Disappointment that we can have 4.2 million people more vote for one side, and that side doesn't get elected because of the Electoral College. I understand that the Electoral College it was built to prevent too heavy of a sway in one direction, but when voters in another state are getting 7 times as much the power as I am as a Californian, that kind of seems like it's working in the opposite direction. So disappointment in people, disappointment in systems, disappointment in myself. And we'll move on to the next piece. Where do you get most of your political information, and why do you trust it? I get most of it, through, online sources, the internet, Facebook, email sometimes, moveon.org, I'm on their emailing list, Credo and some of those other, more extreme liberal places send me a lot of emails, Greenpeace. But actually, I'd say the places I get it most from, places where I actually trust it, are going to be places like BBC, Vice, a little bit of NPR, and to be frank, I don't trust most of what I see or read. Sometimes I get caught up in the emotion of it, and I might respond to something, but realistically, I don't trust most of it, and that's, just because I think everybody's got an agenda. I think even a lot of the news outlets don't really give a flying fuck to report news. I think the majority of news outlets are there to drive ratings, and so they don't care about reporting real news, and that's a problem. And so I don't trust most of them, and the way that I gain trust in some of them is I check their the sources that they've cited. I just check the date of the article, look at the way it's spelled, look at the language of it, how's it written. Sometimes you see typos in some of these articles, and that just immediately discredits it for me. Unless it's, coming from a source that I've trusted in the past, in which case I just think, well, editor must have had a long night. Have my feelings or opinions in any way since Donald Trump got elected changed? No, they really haven't. Just simply they haven't. I think if anything, it's strengthened my opinions on something, but I don't think anything's flipped or flopped, or nothing's really changed. If anything, it's just strengthened that same sense of frustration, disappointment, and fear. And I try not to succumb to those, as I believe we all should avoid succumbing to those emotions, because they get in the way of rational thought. What was the single most important issue during this election, and why? Single most important issue, I feel like that is about, that's wants me to talk about, I don't know, social issues or, the LGBT community or some of those things, but really, I think it ties up to a larger point that encompasses all of that, which is, obviously the president getting elected, he's going to be able to appoint a Supreme Court justice. And that Supreme Court justice, at least one, it looks like, if not up to potentially three. And those Supreme Court justices will then affect a large number of issues. So I kind of funnel it back into that one point, but I guess that goes along the issue of equality. I think that's the biggest issue that we face. I also think prior to Bernie making, his run at it, obviously my big issue is with corruption, and I'm tired. I'm tired of corporations running this country. Because that's what it feels like, and so I think that was a large issue. But then once Donald Trump came into the picture, and it was a matter of hey, we have these social issues on the table now that this person's kind of feels like they're going to try to combat down. Those became the most important issues. Equal rights for the black community and for our sisters and brothers, of minority groups, and also for the LGBT community and their ability to receive proper health care, because if I marry a woman and she has health care, then I'm entitled to that health care as well, and that's not the case in our gay communities a lot of the time. And I mean, there's just a lot of still too much ambiguity surrounding that. So equality, that's the number one issue. Has my day-to-day life been impacted? No. Really hasn't. Again, I've accelerated some of the changes I want to make in my life to be more active in my community, both politically and socially, and then just from my creative aspects. I also feel like pursuing our passions that are positive things are really important. So I think that's one of the best ways we can combat that stuff, some of the ignorance in the world. How will I feel in the morning of inauguration? I'm probably going to be pretty emotionally charged that day, and I'll probably try to avoid social media, and I'll probably listen to a lot of Rage Against the Machine, specifically a song called Killing in the Name, and I think it represents a lot of some of the social issues we're facing right now. I think it talks to those things, and there's a line in it that I really love, and it just kind of helps me. It's a good catharsis for me to listen to that song, and there's a line in it that says, "Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me," and I think that's pretty self-explanatory. If I could give one piece of advice to Donald Trump, what would it be? Listen to the scientific community, Donald. These are the same people that make sure you stay that wonderful orange color. These are the same people that, produced the technology so you could have your little Twitter fits. This is the same scientific community that, helps build your towers and make sure they don't fall to the ground. This is the same scientific community that powers your plane that flies through the sky. And it's a lot like magic when it does it, except it's science. It wasn't Christianity that created flight. It was science. It wasn't the Chinese just making shit up. It's just a stupid thing to say, and it baffles me. So please, listen to the scientific community, Donald. Why was it important for me to participate in this documentary and let my voice be heard? Because I want my voice to be heard. I spoke earlier kind of about voting with our dollars and how that's important, and being active in our community and how that's important. It's also important to speak up in documentaries like this and be participate in the conversation and try to do it in a way that is, that listens. And, in this case, we get a chance to talk, and later on we'll listen to what other people have to say. So I think if we all speak, and we can all speak, calmly, coolly, and collectively, and really listen with an open mind when that time comes, that participation is paramount in progress. Lastly, I didn't vote as stated in my first question, but I would have voted for my man Bernie Sanders. I was a Bernie guy through and through. I would have written him in as well. Again, if I had been in a swing state, that would have been different because of the social issues at stake. I would have voted for Hillary if I was in a state where I felt like it would make a difference. So, much love to you all, and I hope that this helps you get a more clear picture of the state of our nation.